someone to see you.
Dan, right now I wouldn't have time to see the governor himself.
That's right. It is.
Your Excellency, please, come in. Here, have a chair.
No, thank you.
What? I'm sorry about all this.
That's all right, Christopher. I know you're leaving for Melbourne this afternoon.
That's right. I'm opening a branch office.
Would you have time in Melbourne to conduct a little investigation on my behalf?
Well, certainly, of course.
I want you to find a man who's been dead for 7 years.
Dead?
Supposedly. Now, this is all we have for you to go on. He was seen in Melbourne post office taking a letter from a box. Fortunately, my informant noted the number. Box 24.
Mm-hmm. And the man's name?
An assumed one. Elliot Fagan.
Well, certainly the police ought to be...
Not unless it is absolutely necessary. The man is my brother.
I see. And if I find he's alive?
He must be sent back to England with these orders to the captain of the vessel, and in chains if he resists.
Sir John, I don't see how I can accept the responsibility of this.
As an American, Christopher, you may not appreciate my position here as direct representative of the Crown. Any scandal here is a personal reflection on Her Majesty.
Well, sure, I understand that, but why should there be a scandal?
I'll tell you why. But I must also warn you there may be considerable danger. If Elliot is alive, he most certainly will not wish to be found. You see, my brother is wanted in London for murder.
First of the month again, they do spin by, don't they? Box 3, box 45, box 24, and box 11. Good day.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
Well, I couldn't help noticing that you just delivered a letter to box 24.
I beg pardon, sir?
To Mr. Elliot Fagan.
Yes, sir.
Will you deliver mail to him regularly?
Oh, every month, sir?
Would you mind telling me where you're from?
I only bring them by hand to save the stamp money, sir. I know it's wrong, sir, and some might say stealing, but...
I'm only interested in locating Mr. Fagan. You see, I knew he had a box here, but I forgot the number, and I was hoping he might come by to pick up his mail, but now you can help me.
Oh, well, sir, Mr. Fagan banks with us, sir. The state bank, sir.
Oh, well, that's fine. And the bank manager can give me his address. You wouldn't mind taking me along to the bank, would you?
Mr. Tilbert is our manager, sir, and who shall I say is calling?
Mr. Fagan. Junior, I'm his son. What's the matter?
Oh, but you sounded American, sir.
Oh, well, you see, I've lived in Boston for years. My father certainly will be surprised to see me here.
I'm sure he will, sir. Mr. Tilbert, sir, this is Mr. Fagan. Our Mr. Fagan's son from America.
I'm honored, sir.
How do you do?
Your father's one of our oldest clients. I hope we'll be able to serve you, too.
Well, you can by helping me find him. You see, we've been out of touch for quite some
Of course,
time.
Mr. Swan handles his accounts. He'll give you the address,
Oh, but, sir, we don't have a home address for Mr. Fagan, sir.
but we mail his standing cash order.
To a post office box number, sir. Or else he comes here to collect it himself.
Standing cash order?
Monthly, for many years now. Yes, Mr. Fagan, we're extremely fortunate to have your father's account. That was an amazing gold strike he made. He must be one of the richest men in Australia.
How's the old gentleman looking?
Do you know, sir, curiously, in all these years, I've never had the pleasure, but we correspond. He's most satisfied with the way Mr. Swan looks after his affairs.
Have you seen him recently?
And not since last month. But he's very hale, sir, rest assured. And I believe I see quite a family likeness.
Well, you've been very kind.
Sir, why not leave your address with us? And then we could pass it on to Mr. Fagan should he come in.
Hotel Bellevue. Thank you very much.
Good day, sir.
Well, I'll see you out.
Thank you, Mr. Swan. And let's just say that the matter of the stamp money is forgotten.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
Would you look up, Wilfred?
Don't I always, sir?
Good night, then.
Good night, sir.
$2 o'clock, Chris. How long do we have to wait up?
This room was chosen for its location, not our comfort, Danny boy. Anyway, I think our Mr. Fagan may prefer the back way to the front stairs.
How do you know he'll come?
The note I left in box 24?
You asked him here tonight?
Mm-hmm. Or I told him I'd be at the police in the morning.
Maybe Mr. Fagan just happens to look like the governor's brother.
Well, it may be, but I'm still anxious to know why he's so mysterious. As far as I can find out, only one man in Melbourne's ever seen him face to face. You stay awake. We may be the next to see him.
He won't dare jump the both of us. Let's get some rest. It's been a long day. Call me if you get murdered. What's wrong?
You stay awake. I need you.
All right, but I won't be cheerful.
There. Now our friend can announce himself when he arrives. Dan? Dan? Don't tell me that boy's going to sleep again. Oh, come on, Dan. You can't be that tired.
You're right, Chris. Your bloke came, no mistake.
He came, he saw, he conquered. He got my wallet, all of my papers, and about 85 pounds.
Not mine. Like a little to tide you over? That's the kind of letter I like.
It's an invitation.
Who's it from?
Miss Anna Eddington, Sir John's niece.
The governor's niece?
Mm-hmm. Dear Mr. Cobb, a letter from my Uncle Sir John reached me only this morning, so I trust you will forgive the seeming rudeness of such a late invitation. I'd be honored if you'd join me for dinner this evening at the above address.
Mr. Cobb,
Miss Eddington.
where'd you come in?
Thank you.
I thought awful about such a last-minute invitation.
Well, I was delighted. Even more so now.
Please, sit down.
Thanks.
A glass of sherry, Mr. Cobb.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Uncle John mentioned your mission. I've been dying of curiosity since I hear it concerns the dreadful old Uncle Elliot.
Sir John didn't tell you?
Only that it was too important to put in a letter. That just made it more tantalizing.
Well, Miss Eddington, it's possible. As a matter of fact, it's very likely that your uncle is still alive, using the name of Fagan.
But how? That's dreadful.
Well, a man by that name has an account at the state bank. Now, the bank has an order to deliver a considerable sum of money to Mr. Fajan every month. Well, every month, that money is sent to a box number at the post office, and every month it's collected. 2 weeks ago, your uncle was recognized at that box.
Dear. I presume Uncle John has told you about everything.
Yes, and I sympathize.
What did he want you to do?
Well, he's naturally very anxious for his brother to be returned to England as quietly as possible to face the murder charge.
I see. Have you mentioned this to the bank?
No. That would involve the police and publicity.
I don't envy you this job, Mr. Cobb.
Well, neither...
I'm afraid I had to lie to you, Mr. Cobb. I'm not the governor's niece. I believe you already know my husband.
Welcome home, son.
Good morning, sir.
Where's Mr. Cobb?
I beg your pardon?
He didn't come home last night. His bed hasn't been slept in.
Who was the gentleman?
Cobb? Christopher Cobb?
I'm sorry, sir, but we have no one in the hotel with that name, sir.
Don't lie to me. You saw him. We came in together.
Oh, you mean Mr. Fajan, sir? No, I don't believe he has returned since last night.
That note that came from yesterday morning. You know who brought it?
For Mr. Fajan?
One of your boys brought it up to the room.
Oh, I don't think so, sir. I would have remembered sending up a message to Mr. Fajan.
It wasn't addressed to Mr. Fajan. It was addressed to Mr. Christopher Cobb.
The note to Mr. Fajan was addressed to Christopher Cobb.
Listen, where can I find the governor's niece?
Who?
Sir John's niece, Miss Eddington.
I don't know, sir, and please let me go or I shall call a constable.
A constable? That's a good idea. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Cobb. I trust you slept well.
Under the circumstances.
I'm sorry we had to wake you so early, but you have a very busy day ahead.
Oh? You deserting your post at the bank today, Mr. Swan?
Well, Mr. Tilbert was kind enough to give me the day off. You see, I have a dear old mother, very frail, who's given to taking turns for the worse at opportune moments.
I can imagine Mr. Tilbert's concern.
I'll get it, dear.
Listen, couldn't I have a little light in here? You wouldn't want me to suffer from eye strain, would you?
Mr. Cobb, I know you're bitter, and with reason. But so are we. It's terrible living like this, always in hiding. And the strain on Elliot, leading a double existence.
The usual penalty for murder is even more unpleasant.
He's not a murderer.
I think that's for the court to decide.
No. I know better than any court.
Mrs. Fajan.
Better than anyone alive that Elliot didn't kill that man.
How?
Because I did. The man I killed was my guardian. I have no relatives. He was a vicious drunkard. Elliot and I were in love, but he'd opposed the marriage. He said because of the difference in our ages, but that wasn't it. He was in love with me himself. And he found out that Elliot and I planned to run away to Australia. That night, he became very drunk. He attacked me. Elliot had given me his pistol.
Well, couldn't you have proved it was self-defense?
Elliot thought no one would believe me. You see, my guardian was a highly respected man.
Why was your husband accused?
I didn't know until it was all over. To save me, Elliot confessed to the murder and wrote a letter to the police.
Wasn't he arrested?
When they came from him, he was already on board ship for Australia. Running away proved his confession. He tried his hand at prospecting, and he made a very rich strike at Bendigo. Then he sent for me. Mr. Cobb, I've told you the truth. Now judgment rests with you. The governor's thought his brother dead. If you help us, there's no reason why he should change his mind. We'll leave Australia.
Well, even if I believe you, the judgment doesn't rest with me or with the governor. It's a matter for a court of law to decide.
I'm sure you realize that an innocent man with his back to the wall can be very dangerous. Especially a man like Elliot.
Mr. Cobb, you must concede that your presence here is, to say the least, a nuisance.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess most people like to think about the possibility of leading a double life. You've done pretty well at it.
Then you can understand my desire for its continuance. Luckily, you yourself have provided the means for that. This letter you were carrying from my brother. Official instructions to the captain of the ship that the accompanying prisoner be taken back to England in chains. But it doesn't say who the prisoner is, Mr. Cobb.
Well, I'll tell the captain.
I'm afraid you'll be in no position to impart the information. I hope you're a good sailor, Mr. Cobb. Anna, we'll let our guest have his breakfast in peace.
Elliot, how long will it take?
The stuff's potent. 10 minutes, and Mr. Cobb will be ready for shipping.
I hope it won't harm him too much.
Constable, is there anywhere I could find...
Slow down. I'll be with you in a minute. And
Sorry, Sergeant, but I'm trying to find Miss Anna Eddington.
I can't help you. This is not a marriage bureau.
Now, you don't know what I mean. Miss Eddington, who's the governor's niece.
Governor? What governor?
Sir John Eddington.
Now, what would I know about the governor's niece? I didn't even know he had one.
And he's been kidnapped.
Who, the governor?
Maybe worse.
Now, look here. What's this all about? If there's been a crime committed, I want a full report.
I can't do that because of the scandal.
You some kind of revolutionist? Or you're just trying to make fun of the police force? Hey, come back here. Come back.
Cabby.
Where to, sir?
You on duty here last night?
Look, I got no regular duty, sir. I'm a free man, I am.
I mean, were you here last night?
For a bit, I was.
Do you remember picking up a man? Was tall, fair-headed, dressed elegant?
My eyes ain't what they was, sir, and that's a fact. Nor me memory neither.
He came from the hotel and he went to a private address.
Last night was a busy night, sir. I carried a lot of gents. And I had a few nips into the bargain. Suffering for it now, I am. People never think of the poor cabby. Just hurry up, go here, go there.
Say, this is an American. You remember picking up an American last night?
Oh, let me see now. Oh, the foreign gentleman. Yes, I remember. Elegant tipper he was.
Take me where you took him, quick.
Like I said, sir. Me memory's not too good.
Will this help?
Bless you, sir. It always does. Hop in. Give on, you.
Is it time? Elliot, he'll be killed.
It's his own fault.
Come on, cabby, hurry up. Hurry up.
How long will it keep him unconscious?
He may wake at any moment. If he does and moves...
It's 40 feet to the ground. Darling, don't you go.
There's no choice, Anna.
I never really was. Don't move, Mr. Cobb.
Well, Christopher, I admit you've done what I asked, though I didn't expect your method to be so drastic. However, since the doctor says the break will end as good as new, I still thank you. I'm glad you're going back voluntarily, Elliot. But you'd better hurry. The ship's waiting.
Go in your coach?
We've nothing to hide now, any of us. Here's my statement of your voluntary surrender, and Mr. Cobb's, that you risked your life to save his. Perhaps they'll say what you did was wrong, but they'll have to admit she's well worth it.
Thank you, John.
Goodbye, Mr. Cobb.
Goodbye and good luck.
John, thank you.
Goodbye, Elliot.